lives, and so we really appreciate all that they have done and that they're continuing to do. I had an opportunity to meet with Mayor Cava and her team, as well as the mayor of Surfside, and we just toured around the complex to be able to see, and the TV doesn't do it justice. I mean, it is really, really traumatic to see the collapse of a massive structure like that. Right now, we have the fire rescue. They are in search and rescue mode. They are trying to identify survivors. I know they have made contact with some, and they are doing everything they can to save lives, and that is ongoing. And they're not going to rest. And so, thank for what they're doing. We were just over there, got to thank some of the folks who just had to change a shift, but they've really stepped up. We're also making sure that the people that have been displaced have a place to go. We're going to be visiting the center up further north on Collins Avenue after this, but we are happy to report that through the help of the Red Cross, we have short-term hotels set up for these folks. And then obviously we're going to work with the city and the county, state, to make sure that there's any longer-term needs that we can be helpful in any way we can. This is not necessarily going to be immediate in terms of what ended up happening, but I know that they are going to have engineers looking at this to try to identify what happened and what was the problematic occurrence. And so that probably you're not going to have those answers immediately, but I know that they are diligently going to be working to be able to do that. And so it's a tragic day. Some of those folks who were able to go from safety, we thank the fire and rescue for what they did to be able to put themselves on the line to help other folks. They're still hard at work. We still have hope to be able to identify additional survivors. And the state of Florida, we're offering any assistance that we can. We've done some with the Florida Department of Transportation. Miami-Dade's got a great team, and so they've got a lot of resources that they're bringing to bear, but we're standing by to help in any way we can. I'm going to introduce our Director of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie. He's going to say a few words. We're also going to hear from Mayor Cava, and then I think, Mayor, you're going to hear from the Mayor of Surfside as well. So, Kevin.
Right. Good afternoon, Kevin Guthrie with the Florida Division of Emergency Management. Just to give you an update on what's going on with state resources, we do have members of the State Emergency Response Team that have been activated and are working this event. They include members from obviously the Chief Financial Officer's office with the State Fire Marshal and ESF 16. That includes individuals from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and our law enforcement resources from ESF 16. It also includes our ESF 8 Health and Medical, as well as our DOT partners. I know Director Dane Eagle is here as well with DEO. So we've got about 5 different state agencies involved right now that are assisting local county and city government on responding to this event. Right now, the biggest ask that's been asked for is traffic control devices from DOT, and DOT is filling those resources right now. Again, we will be here as long as we need to be to continue to assist the local county and municipal government with the needs that they have of us. Thank you.
So this is the incredible, unimaginable situation that none of us could have predicted, but we have the right people on the job. Our team at Miami-Dade Fire Rescue has dealt with collapse situations before. Their dogs are trained. They have been on the scene since they got the call at 1:38 this morning, and they are doing a fantastic job. They were able to rescue so many from the buildings, the intact building, the collapsed building, and really incredible that at this time we've only identified one person as having passed. So we are very, very hopeful. We'll continue the search and rescue operation. We've also evacuated the 2 side buildings, and we're working with Red Cross, with our own social service agency, our police and fire departments to make sure that those people are properly situated. The leadership here of the city mayor has been phenomenal. He's been on the scene since early this morning, as well as neighboring mayors. They've all come to help with their police departments, with their own moral support and presence. Also, this is a predominantly Jewish community, and we've had the rabbis and chaplains on hand. The operation that we'll be visiting in shortly, the community center, people are getting the support that they need. Not only are they getting hotel rooms, they're getting help with their medicines, with blankets, with clothing, because of course there they are with nothing. They were evacuated in the night. Anyone who is looking for a missing loved one, anyone with information, we have a hotline, 305-614-1819, 305-614-1819, and this is how we are going about continuing this operation with the support of family members. We're also going to be receiving family members. We're going to accommodate them, so stay tuned as well for that. Estamos tan agradecidos por el trabajo increíble de nuestros bomberos que estaban aquí desde la mañanita y rescataron tanta gente, cientos de personas de los edificios, y después de todo eso solamente una persona que ha desaparecido. Y estamos con esperanza que con su expertise, su experiencia, que podemos salvar más personas, y están buscando ahora ellos y con sus perros, y ellos tienen lo que necesitan para hacer el trabajo. También los edificios al lado, hemos sacado las personas y están todos esperando en nuestro centro de comunitario, y estamos buscando hoteles para ellos y otra ayuda social si necesitan. También tenemos una línea de emergencia para los que están buscando familiares o si tienen información. 305-614-1819. 305-614-1819. Estamos muy agradecidos también para todo el apoyo de las ciudades alrededor, el estado, el gobernador y la emergencia del estado. So we're really grateful everyone's come together, and we're going to continue our efforts here. Thank you so very much.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Cava, Governor DeSantis. Little Surfside has experienced a catastrophe with respect to this building. I woke up this morning at 2 o'clock and came out to the property, and it was something like I could never believe could happen. It was a complete collapse of the building. I thought maybe a balcony had gone down, but we've got 134 units in that building, I understand, and literally half of that building is not there anymore. So we're working hard. There's not a lot that Little Surfside can do except ring the alarm bell, and we rang the alarm bell, and Mayor Cava sent the cavalry, as did the governor. And that has made all the difference in the world. They've got resources like you can't believe here. We've got the dogs, we've got the equipment, and we're going to do our very best to save as many people in that pile of rubble as we possibly can. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Governor. Thank you.
LG, Español.
Yes. Bueno, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Obviamente hoy es un día muy triste para todos nosotros ver lo que ha pasado aquí en Surfside. Como dijo el gobernador, el Estado está aquí para proveer el apoyo para el alcalde, la alcaldesa. Estamos aquí para asegurar que podemos continuar en lo que es los esfuerzos de nuestros héroes que han estado desde temprano buscando, están en un momento de búsqueda y rescate. Tenemos la fe de que vamos a poder seguir buscando sobrevivientes, y también estamos aquí para el apoyo de la comunidad. Sabemos que es un momento muy difícil. Hay muchas personas que todavía aún no saben si sus seres queridos han podido encontrarlos. Como dijo la alcaldesa, hay un número de teléfono, 305-614-1819. Tenemos el centro comunitario donde estamos tratando de reunificar a las familias aquí. Eso está en la 93 y Collins. Y le pedimos a la comunidad paciencia porque sabemos que no vamos a tener las respuestas que uno quiere a este momento. Estamos en este momento evaluando, como dijo el gobernador, los ingenieros están adentro, están evaluando lo que es la integridad del edificio, y vamos a seguir poniendo lo que es la prioridad en el búsqueda y rescate, y después proveyendo la apoyo.
You are listening to a briefing from officials in Florida after that partial collapse of a condo building in the town of Surfside, just north of Miami Beach. Governor Ron DeSantis, as we keep an eye on this, as we expect that he may take questions after this, announcing that they have made contact with some potential survivors. That seems to be some of the most significant news coming out of this news conference so far. We know that one person has been killed in this partial building collapse. There are unconfirmed reports that dozens more are unaccounted for. We still don't know some of those specific numbers, but at least 35 people have already been rescued in what is a very active and frankly still rather dangerous scene. There are questions now about the risks to some of those first responders who are on scene, and we still don't know why part of this building collapsed at this point. You have heard the mayor of Miami-Dade County express optimism. We want to listen in now as the governor maybe might take some questions. Let's check. He is heading out. I want to bring in, as we get set here, Carrie Sanders, who's been covering this for NBC. Carrie, one of the key questions has been how many people specifically are still unaccounted for? How many people may have been in that building? And we don't know the numbers of those folks yet. No clarity on that from the governor at that significant news conference, but we do know that he is expressing real optimism that perhaps, as we look at some very difficult to watch video from surveillance video that appears to show part of that building collapsing, 12 stories there in Surfside. Perhaps there are still people buried alive in there, Carrie. What else do we know about that?
Well, we do know that the governor announced that they've now gone to a second shift, that they've moved on from the first shift that was on the building, the rubble. And you did so importantly point out that they're very tenuous about the structure that remains, that may also collapse. That is why they have evacuated the buildings on either side. We're talking about 12 stories that pancake down. And when you see that very disturbing surveillance video from the security camera, you may think to yourself, this is impossible. How could anybody still be alive? But there is evidence from earthquakes where people are caught inside of collapsed buildings where there are voids that are created and people can still be in there. And so what they're doing is they're very gingerly trying to work their way to protect their own safety while at the same time to see if there is any evidence of life. They have dogs that are doing some sniffing around, but remember, a dog can smell that somebody, the human might be there. They can't at this point determine whether that person is alive or dead. So we know from earthquakes, and we know that the Miami-Dade Urban Search and Rescue Team, which has responded to earthquakes around the world, has the listening devices, has the hydraulic jacks that they're able to move things out of the way. In fact, that's what they did here earlier this morning. Sort of some positive news is they got a young boy and were able to pull him out of that concrete debris of that collapsed building. You know, it's interesting. This building is 40 years old right now. In Florida, buildings are inspected at that 40-year mark. In fact, the city commissioner here tells me an inspector was on the roof yesterday and then this happened. Hallie, I think the hardest thing right now is for all of those friends and family who don't have the answer of where their loved ones are.
Right.
Are they somehow out of the building and lost in the chaos of what happens in an event like this? Or are they still trapped? And if they're trapped, hopefully they're still alive.
It is an agonizing, painful wait, Carrie, and one of the most gut-wrenching pieces of that video, of that surveillance video, is looking at the lights that are on in that building go out, blink out one by one as the building collapsed. I want to bring in Dave Downey now, who is the former fire chief of the Miami-Dade Department. Chief Downey, thank you for being with us here. You heard very clearly officials in South Florida talk about how this is still a search and rescue operation, how they still have hope. Can you explain? I know that you've never seen anything like this, but in a situation similar to this, what is it like? What are first responders now in their second shift doing? Walk us through that.
Well, the shift change is just normal in that typically the rescue workers are going to work a 12-hour shift, and they're going to be working around the clock. This is going to be nonstop, and they're currently still in the search mode. They're doing void searches. So all the victims that were lightly trapped, all the victims that were on top of the rubble, they've all been removed. And now we have to get into the detail of the search for the voids. And it's literally like looking for a needle in a haystack. They're going to grid off the building and they're going to systematically move through the collapse area looking for any signs of life. They're utilizing canines, our search dogs. They're utilizing search cameras. They're utilizing listening devices. This rescue operation is going to go on well into tomorrow. I would anticipate even longer if there's, evidence of void spaces as they move through this rubble.
It is fragile and delicate work, Chief, as you are describing, and yet these rescuers, these emergency responders who are on scene here are themselves in danger. Based on my conversation with the Miami-Dade County Mayor earlier this morning, she described still having concerns about the structural security of part of the building that is still left here. What are investigators doing on that front? And at this point, moving forward, how do you assess that kind of risk for the responders on scene?
So that's part of the entire team approach. There are structural engineers that are trained, that have tremendous amounts of experience in these types of disasters at looking at buildings and seeing where there's spaces that we can operate in, spaces that we can't operate in, spaces that if we secure it, we can operate in. And so we rely heavily on those structural specialists to give us that information. And then as the leaders of the teams, we make those calculated risks based on all of the information we have. But there is an incredible risk for a secondary collapse. The weather that we're having down here in South Florida, the wind that we're experiencing, all lends itself to the possibility of partial pieces of the building still coming off that could cause significant injury to the rescuers. So this is going to be a very slow, methodical process. They're doing everything that they can to locate survivors. That is their goal. The only thing those dogs are looking for are survivors. And they're going to continue to work at that until there's no evidence of voids, no evidence of survivors.
And as you say, that may be hours, if not days away. Former Miami-Dade Fire Chief Dave Downey, we so appreciate your perspective, Chief, and for being with us this afternoon. This is still, as we are seeing, as we are watching, an incredibly active scene with so many questions about what happens next in this search and rescue operation and why and how this building could have collapsed like this, partially in the first place. We're going to have more throughout the day here on NBC News and tonight on NBC Nightly News. But for now, that concludes our special coverage of that condo collapse in Surfside. I'm Hallie Jackson. Thanks for watching.